I hope you guys are having a good day or night or whatever it is for you. Right now it is super early in the morning for me, and I've got somewhere to be. As you can see, I'm dressed. I got pretty much everything done but my makeup, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of show you, not in 3 times speed or 8 times speed, what I do on a day-to-day basis. So that's what we're doing today. I'm just gonna keep it light, keep it simple for the most part, natural, and I'm not really sure what today is supposed to be like weather-wise. I don't want to load on a whole bunch of makeup and then regret it and be like sweating it off and just... Okay, first I like to start off by priming my face. But before I prime my face, I'm going to use something that I got clearance, actually. This is the Physicians Formula Vitamin C Brightening Facial Oil Stick, okay? And it's a broad spectrum. It has an SPF of 30 in it. Now, usually when I see SPF, I get really nervous because SPF makes me just look glossy and crazy, but I have been using this for the past like 2 weeks and I'm having really good luck. So what I've been doing is I've been taking a little bit, putting it on my face, and then using my primer to kind of mellow down the kind of glossy look. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because it has an oil in it or what, but it's a really smooth consistency. And it just gives my makeup a little bit better look. And I want to say it's because my skin is so hydrated. Plus, I feel pretty good about, you know, having a little bit of SPF. Next, what I've been using is the Ulta Beauty Cool Committee Cooling Jelly Face Primer. Looks like this. Oh, I'm on the other side. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. I got this a couple months ago, so I'm thinking it's still going to be available. And I just use, oh wow, my hands are going to be so high. Well, I just use 2 pumps. Usually the first pump, you gotta work a little bit of stuff out and rub it in my fingers. And I pat pretty much where I put the oil, because I'm using this to kind of minimize that sunscreen look. And then I'm just gonna gently massage it into my face. And it actually works really good. When I first started using it, I feel the cooling sensation. I don't know if I just got used to it. Or what, but I don't feel it as much anymore. And I kind of prime everywhere. I'm only using 1 primer today because, like I said, I'm trying to keep it light. Okay, after I'm done with that, I am going to go in with my foundation. I'm going to do my foundation first. I got a little bit of the primer in my hair. There we go. I should be wearing a headband, but we're okay. It's a really easy hairstyle. I just put it in a, well, I gathered it on the side, put it in a little braid, and then just twirled the braid up, and I bobby pin it. And that's cute, and get your hair off your face, and feel cool. All right, I am going to be using the Urban Decay Stay Naked Weightless Liquid Foundation. Looks like this. And I'm almost out, actually. Yes, I have another box. We'll get it out just in case. Okay, and my shade is 41NN. I tried a 39NN, I believe it was, and for as good as it looked, it was really off. And I talked to the lady at Ulta, and she said a lot of people have trouble with that shade. So I think I was one of those people. This one matches me good. Like, I don't know how it's gonna show up in this light. I've got my little light in hopes that you guys can see it better. But in like the real day-to-day life and light, it looks amazing. We're just gonna start applying my foundation, and I am using the Tarte Beauty Blender. I think it's a natural beauty blender, or it's like made from a natural material. I always work one side first. Kind of concentrate on getting my base down. And then I work my way up to the other side. But you can see, if you look at my, you know, from here to here, it's a pretty decent match. It does its job at evening my skin out. And I also judge, because I have a birthmark right here on the side of my face, how well it covers that. We're just gonna go up the neck. I find when I drag it down, it kind of pulls everything down for me. And it goes, I did 2 pumps on my hand, and I'm not even through. I think I have too much, I don't know. But we're gonna get a very even base. I did my eyebrows already, and I should have just waited. Just trying to make it not look so like shocking on camera. No, I gotta kind of navigate around that. I don't know how everybody does their eyebrows first and then does their eye makeup. My eye makeup I've done first before, especially if I'm using like colors that I know are gonna have fallout. But no, I'm not putting it on my eye. I'm gonna just go up like this because I like, after I put obviously my eye makeup, I like the top of my brow bone to be the same color as the rest of my face, so then when I put my powder on and my highlight, it looks glowy and natural like the rest of my skin. So we're just gonna do that. And then I have, like I said, I have a birthmark here, and I just like to even it out a little bit, blend it into my skin. Okay, what I do right now here is use a setting spray. Okay, and I do this so I have a little bit more staying power. I am using the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. It works for me anyways. And also I picked up this handy dandy fan at the dollar store, which just makes the process go by so quicker, or so much quicker. Okay, now I know it looks heavy, but I think it's just because the light that I got going on. I like to dry it. Okay, now, just because when we try to put a powder on top of it, if it's that wet, it's gonna be horrible. I'm gonna do my concealer, and I'm going to use 2 different colors. I'm using the Tarte Double Duty Beauty, and this is the Shape Tape. It is in 22NN. It's going to focus on my face. There we go, 22NN. It's light neutral. This is the color that I was using in the winter time, and I just want to use it up. I don't like my product sitting around too much. It is rather light. And you're gonna see what I do in a second. Okay. Good thumbnail, right? Okay, now I'm gonna use the exact same spot on my beauty blender to blend this out. I'm gonna start in the corner first, and I like to start in the corner, work 1 dot in, okay? And then I bring it down the side of my nose, just like so, and then I work my way over, okay? And as you work your way over, you just use the next dot, blend that dot in, bring it back up, and then come all the way over to the side. I don't really move it that much. I just kind of push it into my skin. And then we're going to use another one a little bit lower, okay? I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I start here and I work up. I'm working up and down, bringing it up and down in the corner of my eye and the side of my nose. I blend that in really good. Sometimes I go a little bit higher on one side, so if I do that, I'll come back over and I'll blend it up again, okay? And I do the same thing. Blend that dot in, kind of keep it concentrated. Then I tilt my brush or my beauty blender and I do this in like an upward motion. The other ones I'm just kind of staying steady in the exact same spot until it blends out. This one I do go back and forth, kind of in a slanted motion where bringing everything up. And I go all the way back to my hairline because I like that brightness in the center of your face. It just looks so good. It accentuates that natural like focal point. You know, when people look at you, that's what they see. They see your eyes, lips, nose. And by doing that, it kind of accentuates all of that. Okay, and I move to this spot and I blend it in. And then I flip my blender and I use my foundation and I go back up the sides with the foundation, okay? And I just do a little tiny dot. I don't move on my chin, okay? And I do the same thing, flip, and I use the foundation and I go over the top of it. Now, for my forehead, I'm actually gonna add another, oh, if I can find it, I'm gonna add another concealer, and this is gonna be the same concealer that I add to my eyes, the bottom. I'm focusing right here. Yes, I do a light layer here, just to kind of brighten up my face a little bit, but I'm gonna use another one. This is the IL Maquillage, or Maquillage, I don't know, I think it's Maquillage. And this is the I'm Flawless Multi-Use Perfecting Concealer. And the shade is number 8. I really like this. Tarte has a tendency to be a little bit on the thicker side, which works in some circumstance, but this is really light. It still has the same coverage, and it has a tendency to match my skin a little bit better. It still brightens it. It still gives me coverage, but it just matches my skin. You can kind of see the difference between this dot right here and then this. Even with my shade in the Shape Tape, or the double duty Shape Tape, I usually go for the medium. It still has a little bit better of a shade tone range for me. And I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm just going to concentrate right here. I'm not going back up underneath the eye. The more you touch underneath your eye after you put your concealer on it, the more likely you are to mess it up, get it cakey in some spots, crease it. Do it once. That's why I stay in one spot, I go over to the other spot, I go over to the other spot, and then I go back once, because it's so easy to mess up what you've already done. And I bring this side of my nose all the way up. Like I said, I'm trying to accentuate that natural triangle. And I have really dark circles under my eyes sometimes, so it really just helps to camouflage it without adding bulk to the bottom part of my eye. And I do the same thing here, and you can kind of see it all coming together a little bit. And it gives you, if you use a different color, I need to spray my blender a little bit. It gives you a little bit more dimension in your skin, and has a tendency, even when you wear a lot, to look a little bit more natural. Trying to blend it in without messing up my eyebrows. there we go. And I do the same thing, flip it over, and I use the leftover foundation and work in kind of like a rainbow motion around where I put that concealer, just to kind of blend it in before anything gets too crazy. Yep, we're good. I'm going to be using a setting powder. Well, this is technically an illuminating powder, but I find it works really, really well to set underneath my eyes and then my face as well. I don't know if it's my skin tone and the color of this banana powder or what, but I'm using the Derma Blend Illuminating Banana Powder. Okay, now for underneath my eyes, I'm gonna use the Kat Von D number 25. I wanna say it's like, I don't know, it's not the brush. It's not for underneath your eyes. I think it's like a powder brush, but I'm dipping a little bit on my brush. And then what I do to save powder, instead of tapping it, I tap it right back. You lose a little bit, but I tap it right back into the jar. So I'm kind of saving my powder a little bit. Now I'm just gonna go really light right here and down the corner of my nose. And then I get this little crease with this little brush right here, because I hate having too much powder right here. And you can see it just kind of has evened everything out and brought a little bit of uniformity. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but on the other side. And I don't like using a lot of powder underneath my eyes. It just is trouble for me. I do those little creases with this, and then I also set right here on my forehead, because I hate the way a lot of powder, especially if you have like skin that's prone to like sweating or you're oily. It's like the lighter you go, the better off you are. You start packing on the makeup when you know you already have trouble with oils on your skin, and all you're doing is giving yourself more to sweat off. So if you go lighter on the makeup, when you do sweat, it's not going to look as like drastic or dramatic when a little bit of your makeup comes off, if it does, because you have a lighter layer on. So that's what I try to shoot for in the summertime. Okay, I'm using the same illuminating banana powder. Again, it's the Derma Blend Illuminating Banana Powder, but instead I'm just using just a big fluffy powder brush. And I do the same thing, go like this, and I tap it back in here. Okay, and then I start here. I just go like this, okay, and then over everything else, just lightly. I'm not trying to be perfect, I'm just trying to be put together. I feel the more I have like, oh, I want this and I want that, and this needs to look like this, and I spend 20 minutes on my makeup or 30 minutes on my makeup, the less happy I am when I just go for it and like whip it out. Usually those are the days when I'm like, oh, that's what I feel anyways. Okay, now because this drives me absolutely bonkers, I just take my nail, obviously, and my towel. I cannot stand anything on my lips. This is kind of where I create my lip shape too, because I already have kind of naturally evened it out. I can go in and kind of create what is perceived to be a bigger center lip. And I also take down my sides a little bit, and I will fix it. After I do that, see, you just kind of like, it gives you like a natural line right here that really just like makes your lips big. And I don't know what it is, why it does that. I don't know if it's just because you're wiping it off clean and not putting anything on top of it, but it really gives you that Cupid's bow like effect here. Now what I do is I spray again. I spray like 3 times, but I just spray in between each layer. That one's just a light one. And I do the same thing. It doesn't affect my makeup because I dry it with this little fan. Also $1 at the dollar store. I like to get a deal. But I do make sure I dry this thoroughly because I'm going in with a powder next. And I want to make sure it's dry. And you can already kind of see that it's drying. A little bit of that like shine is going away, and you know, it feels drier. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with my bronzer, and I got this on sale. I don't know if they even make it anymore. I'm sure they do. It's a relatively like newer brand, but this is the Kylie Cosmetics, and is, oh, what does that say? Oh, right here. This is the pressed bronzing powder in the shade Toasty. And I wasn't sure. I was very skeptical because this is literally like the only thing I've tried from this brand, but this is the color. I'll go like that so you can see. It's dirty, but it just works really well with my skin. And it stays in it. So now, for my bronzer, I am using a Morphe just synthetic fluffy brush. And I just swirl it in the pan. This is what I'm doing. I go a little overboard for what I'm gonna do, and I don't tap it off, because the one thing that I do have to say about this is that you really have to kind of work your brush in there to get a decent amount of powder. And I'm just gonna go here. I'll try to block my hair as much as possible. Okay. I'm just going on the top part of my head. Okay, now we're gonna do the other side. And it's just so subtle and it's so light, but it really does kind of bring that color back to your skin. You might not be able to tell because it's so close to my skin color, but it really helps. That's the only thing I don't like about the synthetic Morphe brushes, is that they shed so much. I just don't like it, but you can see kind of when I go like this how it's bringing me that natural kind of bronzed look. And then I use my bronzer as contour for the most part. I just kind of pinch the brush a little bit, just squish it. It doesn't matter the shape to me anyways. And I just lightly use it as a shade to kind of warm up my face. I go just underneath. This is the top of my cheekbone. I go just underneath my cheekbone before I get to that area, and I stay up, back, and high, and I do it on the outside. Squeeze it, stay up, back, and high. That is how I do it. I was like getting into it. Okay. And we're gonna go back in with the bronzer after we do our blush, just to give me a little bit of color. Okay, and I already have like a natural darker color underneath my chin. So I don't go very heavy, because if I go really heavy, because my skin is already naturally darker under my chin, then I have an issue, because then it's super dark. I kind of go a little bit higher, because I try to cover this part. Well, it's working now, but I have a little bit of like extra fat right here. So what I do, here's my jawbone. I'm pretty much bordering that. The main part of the brush is, yes, tucked underneath my jawbone, but the top little bristles kind of give that little bronzing effect right at the top, because they're hitting it, and it thins out my face a little bit without having to do any like heavy contour, because I have such full cheeks. That's my birthmark. That's not bronzer, because I already have such full cheeks as it is. Then we're going to go back up, and this time we're going to work it up into the temple. I like to do it in 2 steps just because sometimes I go overboard. And if I do one area and then I take a break and then I come back to an area, 9 times out of 10, I get a better look without as much product because I've given my eye kind of a break and I can see a little bit more of what I'm doing because, you know, instead of staring at the same place. I'm gonna keep doing this. I think it's because I'm on my toes and I'm bouncing. And so there we go. This will be better. Instead of staring at the same spot, waiting for the color to get darker and darker, it's like kind of taking your eyes off it for a second and then looking back and then it's like, oh yeah, I do have a little bit of color. I don't know. Yeah, that works for me for whatever reason. Okay, we're done with the bronzer oh no, we're not. We're not done with the bronzer because what I've been doing is the same thing. I like to use one product for a whole bunch. So what I'm doing right now, I'm taking this, obviously the same bronzer, and I'm going to pretty much contour my nose. I just take the brush and I go back and forth down the center of my nose. And I'm exaggerating it. And I go again. And I go up and down. I'm not caring about the center because we're going to put highlight on the center. And then we're going to lighten up the bronzer in a second. I do this just at the bottom part of my nose. I try not to do this here because I'm nervous it's going to make like this look super dark. But this is kind of how I contour my nose. And then, after I got it where I want it, I go in with my leftover foundation and I try to use the side that I did my concealer on. And I just go up the sides. And you don't have to be perfect. I think the less perfect you are, the better it looks, to be honest. And then I go around pretty much everything. And I don't know if you can tell, but it really brings in my nose. And then once I highlight, we're good. And I don't have to waste all my time trying to make a really small nose because I like my nose. I do. It's part of me. It's part of who I am. I just, you know, obviously I like for it to be like a little narrower and then, I don't know, it just makes me feel better. Okay, now we're going to move into my blush. Now, originally what this is the Cover FX and it is the monochromatic blush duo. There's a matte and a shimmer. But what I do, because the colors are complementary of each other, I use the matte for my blush and the shimmer for my highlight. And this is what it looks like. It's cracked, so I had to repair it with alcohol. Oops. I'm trying to look. Here we go. Like that. The alcohol did work. It just took a while to dry. But they are a color. It's like this rosy, well, it's not even a rosy. It's like this light peachy rosy kind of pink color, but with my skin tone it looks so good. Another KVD brush. This is what I'm using. This is what it looks like. I love these brushes. I get so upset thinking about the fact that everything is switched in that company. I'm hoping that with time I like it better. Not to say that I don't. I liked KVD, but I liked KVD when Kat Von D was more involved. I think she sold it like all together and she took some of her things with her, like the perfumes and some of her blushes and a lot of things, and it just kind of bummed me out because that's the stuff that I liked and I can't get it anymore, so I have to kind of step outside the box a little bit to get some newer things from them. But anyways, okay, now I do a little bit on the apples of my cheek, but just like with my bronzer, I keep my blush high and I just pat. And I dip again. and I don't smile because we're not walking around smiling, okay? I try to do my blush with a straight face. So when I'm just having my day-to-day like walk or talk or this or that, the blush is in the right spot. And then when I smile, it looks even rosier because it's bringing it all together. Going above my bronzer. And I'm keeping it up, I'm keeping it back, and I'm keeping it high. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a kind of a lighter, harder to pick up blush that you have to work really aggressively for to get it on your face. Well, I'm using the Dream Rush blush by Benefit. That's just the little sample one. For whatever reason, this just does not want to come out for me. I'm using a different brush. I'm using kind of a fluffier, bigger, thicker brush. I think this was a BH Cosmetics brush. And I'm going like this because it is so hard to pick up. I can go like this for like 20 hours and I won't do anything. But this is where I do the apples. And I flick it out on purpose because I don't want all the blush on my cheek. Flick it out. And this just kind of blends the two blushes together and it gives you a more natural look. You have two colors. You have a lighter one transitioning to a darker one, but then you're blending them both together. So it gives you a more natural flushed look. Because when you're flush, you're not like, you're lighter in certain areas than you are others. And you want to replicate it a little bit because essentially that's what blushed is. It's healthy, it's rosy, it's a little bit of flushed, and you want it to kind of mimic what happens when you get flushed naturally. And then I added a little bit to the apples. Okay, now I'm going to go back in with my blender again. Haven't put any more product on it, haven't done anything at all. And this, I'm going to go here, here, okay, here, here, and that just kind of helps. And then we're gonna go around the bottom and up like this. This helps those lines. If you get like put your blush on and you see that it's really hard for you to blend your blush in, just take the leftover foundation on your sponge and you can see already how nicely that blended in those blush and bronzer lines. And now it just looks natural. It looks like I got a suntan. It looks like I'm happy. Now I'm going to use that same exact Cover FX duochromatic blush, but I'm going to use this as my highlight, okay? And it doesn't give the colors on here, does it? It just says it's a soft peach. That's what all of this is a soft peach. Before I do that, however, I'm going to go back in with my bronzer a little tiny bit. Not on my nose is good. I'm going to go back in with that Kylie bronzer. And I'm going to go right underneath that blush and then up. Right underneath the bottom, and then we're going to go up because this is going to blend it even more. Not doing it all here, I'm just right underneath and then up. Almost like you're making an L, like a slanted L. And then I'm just going to go right here again. So we put powder there, okay? Just keep it there. We'll go a little bit lower with that one, but you want to keep it underneath your blush. Now, I'm going to go in, and this is all before I do my highlighter, okay? I'm going to go in with that Derma Blend Illuminating Setting Powder again, just a little tiny bit, and we're going to even out my face. Okay. Just going to take a little bit, swirl it in here, tap it back on, and this is what I do, okay? To make everything even, I just start here, okay? I go whoop, whoop, like that. I go in like a little M shape on my forehead, and then I go dot, 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 swoop, swoop. That blends it out a little bit, kind of brings all those colors together, and it gives you an extra layer to kind of help. I know this kind of seems like a funny process, but this is what I do, and my makeup works. It just does. It stays for me. Now we're gonna go in with my highlight, and I am using the BH Cosmetics brushes. They have numbers when you buy them. There's like numbers of the brushes in the actual packaging, but they don't have numbers on the actual brush, so I can't tell you what it is. I can just show you the shape. And I'm just taking it on here. And what I like to do first, just to kind of get my hand used to how heavy I'm putting the highlighter, and I go here. And I pat down. I'm kind of strategic with where I place my highlight here. I like to pat down. And it saves highlighter number one, but it saves me from putting it all the way up. I don't like what it looks like because it is a colored highlighter. I like to keep it as minimal as possible in terms of where it's at, because it will leave that pink kind of undertone. You know, it's obviously a blush topper. So, oh, I thought you woke up. Okay, now I'm going to take that same thing, and I'm not going to be able to do it with this light. I like to turn my head and kind of see where that light is hitting, and then put a little bit of highlighter in those spots. Okay, and just very light. You can see the lights hitting there. It's going to be a little different on every person. And I try not to take it too high, because like my highlighter, if I take it super high, I've got this super, super bright, like beaming highlighter here. And because I have a tendency to have dark circles under my eyes, when I have this really bright spot here, you notice how dark my under eye bags are. So if I keep it just really light, I'm almost doing it at like a downward angle, almost down to my bronzer on top of my blush. And I keep it like that. And then I also, because I'm doing a natural look, I'm also going to take this highlighter and I'm just going to highlight underneath my eyebrow, my brow bone, eyebrow. And this saves me from having to carve out my eyebrows because it's color now. And yes, I use this big brush every time. When I use a little brush, I get too much of a concentrated color. And then I just do the standard down the center. I just go like this on my nose. Down the center, and then I go like this on my nose. And then I go down the center and like this on my nose. I'm just rubbing the tip of my nose with it, almost like I'm like doing like an Eskimo kiss. That's kind of what I'm doing to my brush, because I just like a little bit. It's that Eskimo kisses, and that helps with my nose. And then back one more time on those spots, and we're almost done. Okay, now put stuff away. I can do that later. I'm going to take my setting spray one more time. I probably used too much, but that's okay. And this kind of melts all those powders together. It gives you a little bit more shine. So if you are someone who is oily, I have a tendency to have oily skin in certain areas and then dry skin in other areas, mainly my T-zone. So I'm like a combination. But what I realized is that even when I do my makeup and I am oily, and I do sweat. If I do my makeup too matte, regardless of how I sweat and how oily I get, it still looks too matte. And that setting powder, you see, just the setting powder, because it's illuminating, and also adding in the setting spray and just putting a little bit of highlight, you can see it just looks healthy, put together, fleshed and happy a little bit, and it's manageable because we didn't cake 10 million things in her face. Now don't get me wrong, I love a full beat for sure, because it pulls together so quick and you just feel so good, but I don't need that in this situation. We are going to finish off. I'm gonna put lotion on my hands. My hands are like freaking out right now. And we're gonna do it really easy, okay? I'm gonna do my eyes, but we're not gonna go crazy. We're gonna do color in the crease, color on the lid, done, okay? I am going to be using 2 eyeshadow palettes because this one doesn't have a light enough shade for me. I am using the Lorac Los Angeles Pro palette, and this is palette number 4. Let's see if I can. This is what it looks like. You can see the colors that I use. And those are the colors we're going for today, just because it's white. And then I'm gonna go into this, I don't know if you can see it, this color right here, it's pecan, okay? It's not super light, but it's also not super dark either. Just enough. Find a color that is maybe like a shade darker than your natural skin color. And I'm working just on the outside corner of my crease, not my eyelid. I'm working, I'm not going any further than half point of my eye. And I'm literally going back and forth in little tiny circles on the outside corner of my crease. I'll tell you why in a second. And I'm not using primer today. Okay, see? If you go just on the outside corner of your crease, it gives you that kind of pulled together, almost cat eye look, kind of a fox eye pull back, but literally one step, and we didn't have to blend a lot. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. You want to position the brush right where your crease is on the outside corner, a little bit outside of where your lash line ends, and then literally go one circle, one circle, one circle. That's as far as you want to move it. One circle, and you don't have to bring it down, you don't have to do anything, you just bring it sideways. And you get that natural look. Now we're just gonna blend it out a little bit. I'm gonna grab Morphe M330. It's a tapered, more tapered brush, but for what I'm trying to achieve, it works really good, okay? I'm gonna take the next color over, that lighter kind of skin color brulee. I'm gonna get a little bit on my brush. Oh no, I just dipped it in the black currant. Okay, we're gonna wash this brush out real quick because I'm not trying to put purple up there. Hold on. Oh, we're running at 48 minutes. I do this every single time. Ah, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I don't know if it's gonna come out, and I don't want that to be black currant on the top of my crease, outer crease color. Okay, that should be good. Okay, I'm gonna take that brulee color very lightly. Don't tap it in the black currant. Just don't do it. And all I'm gonna do is fill in this little area right here, almost like I'm cutting my eye in half. Half that darker outer corner color, and then we're gonna put the light color there because it just gives you a little bit more of a uniformity. And we're trying to make it look like we're not wearing a whole bunch of makeup. You kind of want to stay in that shape. We're not going for anything other than a little bit of blending. Okay, good. Now, for my lid, I'm just going to pick any sparkly-ish color that I want. Right now, I am not going to use an eyeshadow. I'm actually going to use an eyeshadow primer, but this is a tinted eyeshadow primer. This is the Ulta Beauty Tinted Eye Primer in Champagne, okay? And this is what it looks like. I just got the little sample. Now the reason I'm using an eye primer, a tinted one, because this gives me a super kind of glittery, sparkly effect without having an eyeshadow on the top of my eye. Just putting it on the center, in the very center. It doesn't do much, but it brightens it up. You get a little bit of depth here, you get a little blending here, and then you just get that really nice shine. Kind of brings it all together. I'm gonna do the same thing here. And then we're gonna just keep working it back and forth. And we're actually gonna set it with the color that we're putting in our inner corner. And it works out great. Every time, I don't know what it is. In this light, it might not be translating how it truly looks in person, but you have this like super translucent or transparent like glitter. And then you have just a light dusting of color on the outside, and then with your liner, oh, great. Okay, now I am going to, do I have the highlight I want in here? No, where is it? Oh, right here. Okay, this is the Naked Reloaded palette. Okay, and I'm just gonna get a teeny tiny pointer brush. This is a Morphe M574. That's what the end looks like. Okay, that's kind of the, can you see it? The diameter of it. And I'm actually going to be going into the third shade. It's called Angel Fire. And I'm not wetting my brush because I just want just a light dusting of this color in the corner. Okay. Take it, dust it in the corner, and then just tap it on your lid. You see what I mean? It just is natural, but it brings it all together. I'm using my phone to do this right now, so it feels extremely weird. And then just tap it over the rest of your eyelid. Try to stay low. Don't go in the crease too much. Tapping it on the inner corner. I'm going to go right here with it. It just makes my eyes a little bit brighter. Right here. Okay. Right here. Right there. Right there. And I did the same thing on the top. And you see, it just gives you like this kind of natural. You've got your highlighter here. You've got just a little tiny bit of a shadow and then a little bit of a sparkle, and it gives your eye a little bit of depth, a little bit of dimension without a crazy amount of color. And you see, it just, ignore my hair. No, it's just a very pretty, sparkly look, in my opinion. Okay, now I am going to grab the Morphe M433 brush. Okay, this is kind of more of like a a flat, kind of fluffy brush. And all I'm gonna do, make sure there's no color on it first. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go like this. Okay, I'm almost taking it up and down, almost in a V, up and down, okay? And then I'm also gonna pull it out a little bit right here, okay? Up and down in a V. And I'm just working it in a little bit up. It just blends it a little bit more, but we have such a light color on it, it's like you don't want to touch it too much. You just want it to be really natural. So going around it blends it without taking it off too much. And see, when we're done, you just have a really natural look. How many times have I said natural? Okay. One more time, just to finish off the eyes, I'm going back in with the Cover FX, what is it, monochromatic shimmer side of this blush duo. And very lightly, just to finish things off, I'm gonna go above just the outside of my brow, right here. Okay, it gives you a little bit of shimmer. Not going here, because I don't want any more right here. I want to keep that pretty basic. I want the focus to just be this right there. I'm not going under. You see, it just gives you a little bit of that cat eye effect. And this is totally up to you if you want to do this or not. But because halfway through me going through everything, I feel like my blush is kind of lightened a little, kind of touch that blush up a little bit. And then I go over one more time with just, I'm not re-dipping these brushes, I'm just going over with what's on the brush. And I'm going to do my eyeliner. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to do my eyeliner in this. No, I'm not. Okay. I'm gonna do my eyeliner over here. Let's see if I can turn it.